Welcome back to the Quick Save Podcast. I'm Josh.
I'm Alex.
And before we hop into the episode here, we had a little note at the top of the show here. This episode you're going to be here, we're going to talk a lot about Valentine's Day. Obviously, it's a bit of an older episode, recorded about maybe a month and a half ago, something like that.
I got a new job.
Yeah, everybody got a little busy here.
Josh went to Vegas.
So a lot of stuff got kind of mixed around. We haven't had the time to really meet or work on stuff as much as we have in the past. But hopefully, we're going to have a handful of episodes here that are going to be kind of from our backlog. Haha. But
the backlog of the backlog.
But we'll be uploading these, and hopefully there shouldn't be any other interrupted schedules. But yeah, enjoy the rest of the episode.
Thanks for sticking with us through this.
Yeah. That's me dying. That's my KO when I die in like a fighting game.
Welcome back to the Quick Save Podcast. My name is Alex.
I'm Josh.
And today we're talking about the one, the only, the Okami-Den.
Yes, Okami sequel that came out on DS.
We said we'd be here, now we are.
Now we are.
Let's talk about Okami-Den here. It came out in Japan September 30th, 2010. So we're talking 13 years ago as of this recording. But we didn't see it in the States until March 15th of 2011. That is
6
quite
months,
a transition period.
Half a year after it came out in Japan.
So it was developed by Capcom, not Clover.
Clover stopped existing. So
yeah, so
sadness.
I'm hoping that it was maybe some of the people that were in
I feel
Clover.
like maybe I read that some of the people who had worked on it helped or something.
It's eerily close to the original for no one from that original team to have worked on it.
Yep.
But the gameplay, Josh, why don't you tell us what the gameplay is?
Sure. What I wrote here, all dogs go to heaven, only a select few come back.
Boom, Okami-Den.
Yep.
If you heard our original recording of Okami, you know that Amaterasu is the god dog, comes down, slays the big evil dragon, saves all of Nippon, and people love Amaterasu so much that they're like, you should stay, and then Amaterasu's like, I'm a god, I'm going to the Great Plain.
See ya.
Bye. But here we are Amaterasu's son.
It looks exactly like Amaterasu.
It's like
except
little
smaller.
tiny Amaterasu. It's
except,
adorable.
Except the baby version.
So everyone thinks that you are Amy. They're like, oh, it's Amaterasu.
You're like, nope.
Not a chance.
Nope.
Bad dudes show up. You get your friends to go stop them. And then after defeating the bad guy, an even badder guy arrives. He time travels to get the blood of the ultimate evil demon, Orochi.
It's from the first game.
So he can curse the lands of Nippon once again. You stop him, right? We have to. You know, it's Your Chibi Amaterasu, essentially. He also turns one of your friends evil along the way. So you have to stop him now.
No, my evil friend.
You then have to go and fight your friend, who later will reveal...
Big spoilers
spoiler
for a
warning, there we go.
13-year-old DS game.
Yeah, spoiler warning for 13-year-old DS game. He reveals that this was all a ploy, trapping the big bad guy in his body. So he time travels to get the blood of the ultimate evil demon, Orochi, from the first game. So he can curse the lands of Nippon. You stop him, and then he time travels to the first fight with Orochi. So we're going again, twice in a row, turning one of your friends evil along the way. So you have to fight your friend now. Spoiler alert, your friend, who is evil, then reveals to you he was just pretending to be evil. He wasn't evil, guys. It was all a ploy. So he traps the big bad guy in his body, like in his body, not the big bad guy in its body, but his body. And then he chooses to make the ultimate sacrifice and becomes unalived.
He chooses to become dead.
He just drops.
Ultimate trick.
Ultimate trick. It's, oldest trick in the book, really. Just like Goku did to Raditz.
Yeah, hold him back, have Piccolo murder us both. Who wins? It's me, every time.
Why don't we talk about price? Josh, you want to take that? Because I obviously can't read anymore.
I would love to talk about the price of this game. Came out only on the DS. And so loose, it's $35.99. Complete, it's $48.89. It's expensive.
Yeah, I mean, we played this for a little bit. I was reading it off to you. You were typing away.
There's not much to get from this, honestly, than it's Okami on DS. The story is slightly different. There's different cutscenes. You play through the same level. It's like the same. The world is pretty much the same. So in a world, we live in a modern world where everything gets ported to the Switch. Obviously, that was not always the case. So a PS2 game, essentially, in some ways, getting ported to a DS, kind of a big deal, especially when it was like a very well-loved game, not when it came out, but later on.
Yeah.
This is the point when this came out, this is the point where people are like, Okami rules. So, yeah, being like, we're going to port Okami to the DS seems like a pretty good move. So that's why it still holds up today, is because Okami's good, and this is good.
Would you go out and pay $50 for this Okami?
For a complete one, yeah.
If
a complete one came into the store, yeah, probably.
I can't remember how much I bought my copy for. I think I bought it for around $30.
This is one
$30
of those,
or $40.
This is one of those things, especially DS games are tough because, like we always mention, if it was a Nintendo product, it was handled by a child. 9 times out of 10, all the kids threw their cases away.
Yep.
So 9 out of the 10 copies you're going to find of this are not going to have a case, not going to have instructions. So this is something if it came into my store complete, I would think about buying it.
It's like, I don't know. For me, it's Okami sells it so hard, even though it's just basically just a recreation of the game. It's something about being able to play it on a DS of all things.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting the way they did it. And honestly, I mean, we'll talk about this later, but the gameplay obviously really lends itself having a second screen specifically for painting and stuff, right? It's pretty yummy.
So, I mean, let's look at the game here. You took Okami and you made it cute. And all now you have is Okami-Den. That's it.
Yeah.
A to B.
The plot is different slightly.
You made everyone real small.
Yeah.
Just real small.
So I guess we should mention what are the differences in this game, just gameplay wise. So everybody's small. I mean, your character's literally called Chibi Terasu because Chibi art style, right? So it's the characters are small. They're cute. Most of the characters, especially most of your friends who you're fighting the bad guys with, are the children of the characters from the first game.
Yeah, this is 6 months after you defeat the Orochi. We're not talking 2 years or something.
Yeah,
it's 6 months.
It's pretty closely after the original plot of Okami. Yeah, you paint on the bottom screen, right? You use the celestial paintbrush on the bottom screen.
Yeah, a stylus instead of the analog sticks. Ooh, what a difference.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it is super fast. It's way faster, I'm sure, to do it. I wonder if this came out on Switch. I wonder if there's like touchscreen support for Switch. That you
I'm
could just,
sure.
like,
I'm sure.
boom.
Like they already had it in the DS. They just had to take that and put it onto the Switch.
And it came out on Wii too, so I'm sure they have the idea of
I
it.
have the Wii. I've heard about the Wii copy that the Wiimote was not helpful. I've heard that it's a disaster to try to like make accurate movements with.
I believe that's correct. But honestly, I mean, it plays and controls like Okami. It's just on the DS. That's, we're going to say that a lot, pretty much the whole episode, that this game is just Okami on the DS. That's not like a negative. Like, Okami was a great game, obviously, right? So putting it on another console,
I mean,
still great.
In the original episode, we gushed about it. We were
we couldn't stop talking.
Loving it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just really interesting. This is like one of the few games that's gone through like tons of transformations while remaining like the same.
And that's what's so interesting about when we look at Okami, because it was considered a failure on the PS2, and it's considered one of the defining reasons why Studio Clover stopped existing. It's because Okami sold 0 units when it came out. Nobody played it when it came out. Clover has to close its doors, and then 5 years down the line or whatever, people are like, holy crap, this is actually like amazing. It's not just a game about a dog, it's like an amazing game about a dog.
Yeah. It totally turned the heads like of people that finally decided to like see what it was about. I think the problem is that like when they originally came out, it was labeled Studio Clover. It didn't label as a Capcom game. I honestly feel like if they put Capcom like somewhere on like the face cover, it would have changed everything.
Yep.
And that's probably why like this one did. Capcom's on the front cover, and people already had that love for Okami. Plus, they saw the Capcom. I have a feeling they sold quite a few more than what they did originally.
Yep.
But I'm sorry, I was circling back. This is one of the few games that's gone through tons of transformations. You had the original on PS2, analog stick button presses. You then had the Wii version that came out like I think it was like 4 or 5 years later. You had that come out, and that used the Wiimote. Then you have Okami-Den on the DS with a stylus. And then we had the relaunch of Okami HD for the new gen systems.
PS4,
Xbox One, and PS4. And then we had it port to the Switch where it was a handheld and touchscreen hybrid.
Yeah. And I don't know if, again, we don't know if touchscreen works on that or not, but
it's just like crazy though. It's like,
it's got through a lot.
So much,
it's got through a lot.
Like
for
people
a game,
still love it.
Yeah, for a game that closed a studio and sold 0 units originally, yeah, it's been released like 20 times. Pretty crazy. So I wrote here, I like calling this Small Okami-Den.
It's good. I like it.
What I thought was really funny about this, just the story-wise, everybody mistakes you for your mom. Like, imagine if that was you in real life. They were just like, oh, hey, Samantha. And you're like, no, I'm not Samantha. I'm Samantha's son. They're like, that's crazy. You look just like Samantha. Are you sure you're not Samantha? It's like, yeah, I'm not Samantha, man. Samantha was my mom. Like, chill. I'm not Samantha.
Okay, whatever you say, Samantha.
But it's also it's not like Amaterasu. Like, it's not like Chibitarasu and Amaterasu get to hang out, right? It's like, yeah, she's up there.
She's still in the astral plane.
She's up there in the astral plane. I come down here, and everybody's like, you're your mom? And I'm like, no, I'm not. My mom's up there, dude. I'm not my mom. Leave me alone.
I say she did.
What I think is really interesting, we kind of talked about it too, but yeah, it's only been 6 months. In the story, it's been 6 months since the events of Okami 1. They really hammer home the concept of, like, the children, right? Where it's like, Amaterasu and the Great Warrior defeated the dragon, right? Like, this is the son of the Great Warrior, right? And they have a lot of fun playing with, like, kids and how much time has passed since the original game, and they kind of play with that in a really fun way, I think. But all the characters feel really well developed. I know I said not much changed, but the story is kind of the one thing that changed.
Yeah,
so none of these characters don't feel like they're flimsy characters at all. They definitely feel pretty well developed still.
I mean, we got a new village, and we got like a new open area.
We didn't, it's not like we played 50 hours, right? The game might. I mean, they talk about time traveling and stuff. The game could completely change halfway through. It can be completely different. I'm sure there's new upgrades and stuff like that. They definitely had to change it to keep it fresh. I'm sure it's not just like a one-for-one port of the game. I'm sure they did change more. We probably just didn't see a lot of that right away. Because it definitely felt, like I said, with the children, they're really trying to hammer home this, like, oh, I bet this seems familiar, right? And especially throwing you into the beginning village of Okami and stuff like that. It's all going to feel really familiar because that's the point they're trying to drive home, I think. Even the game references that, and you time travel back to the original events, right? Like the whole kind of I feel like one of the themes of the game is like revisiting the past. Time travel and starting the original village, and everybody mistakes you for Amaterasu, etc. Right? That's the whole theme of it, I feel like.
At one point, it almost feels like they are like trying too hard to bring the past back into it. But then, like, as you're playing through, you're like, oh no, I remember doing that. I remember doing that. That was a lot of fun.
Yep.
Like, oh, that was a really tough puzzle. I remember having to figure that out and solve it. Like, it's just like, no matter like how try-hardy it may seem, when you're in the game playing, it's just not that. One of my favorite things out of all this was getting the celestial brush movements again, because it's like, oh, it's not the parents anymore, and it's not the parents of that helped Amaterasu. Nope, it's the children of those spirits that are now helping Amaterasu's child. And it's just really fun because you're like all these like baby versions of these like celestial spirits
I'd
and
like to
stuff.
issue a correction. The story takes place 9 months after the first.
Oh, it does take. All right, so enough of a time lapse that a child is believably there. But also, these children are like 9. I just want to also throw that out there. You could say they're 5, but that's still a stretch, man. Another thing that I really enjoyed was that, I loaded in the game. I started up a big cutscene thing. I was reading off to Josh like it was story time, and he was in kindergarten. Me and him were laughing about it. We're like, oh, it's cool. Yeah, we did that. Oh, yep, that's the story for sure. And I started playing it. And first off, controls feel great. For a DS game, it's like unheard of to have controls as nice feeling as the original game. Granted, yes, it is sloppier. It is not as precise, but you're playing on a what came out for like I think a DS Lite. Honestly, I think it's what was out at the time. You're playing on just a DS, limited hardware, and it feels wonderful. I started playing around, and the controls were like spot on to what they were originally in the PS2 version.
I mean, the original game has very tight controls, so it's glad to see that pretty much moved over for as best as they can do on the DS, right?
I mean, it was really nice not to have to like go and relearn how to play the game. There's like a few different controls because, like I said, we use a stylus instead of like the analog sticks, so they had to like
finer controls in some areas, not as fine controls in other areas.
Yeah, so you had to like see how to like activate certain things. They brought the barking back. My favorite thing in the world.
Let's go.
Just sit there and annoy the people in the town. You just nonstop bark. Now I know why. Like every time, like after playing Okami, I just know like, oh, if the dog's barking at me, it's not because it's mad or anything. It's having fun. It's like, hey, listen to me.
We should play Duck Game, which is a really fun party game.
Oh,
it's like surprisingly intense. But there's a quack button, so it's like a shooter where it's like you need to kill your friends, like be the last one standing. But they're absolutely a button where you just mash to quack. And like, quack, 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 quack.
I almost want to play Untitled Goose Game and just honk at people.
Okay, something I really like too is that the art style really perfectly translates to the DS, which is something that's really funny because that's what we praised on the PS2, right? That is this very, very unique art style for a PS2 game. There's something about cell shading that just really works and has this amazing timelessness to it. Even looking at like this DS game and this PS2 game, they look like something that they kind of look like indie games you would see developed now. They're games that like remind me of Okami in a lot of ways.
They also kind of like feel like they're almost actual paintings as well at times.
Yep, I think cell shading just has a really cool look to it. Something about this and Borderlands always really, I liked that kind of style. And I think there's a game that came out just recently. It's called like Hi-Fi Rush or something like that, and it looks kind of goofy. But it has this cell shading style. It's very cartoony, and it's something about that, like the very cartoonish style, that I don't like. At least not the way they did it in Hi-Fi Rush. But Borderlands and Okami, yeah, the art style on top of the cell shading really work. They lend themselves really well, I think. Well, let's get into reviews, huh?
Let's talk about them reviews.
I'm gonna read the name of a reviewing place, magazine, or website, and I want you to guess what they gave it. And I'm going to give you rankings because a lot of these are different. So, OneUp.com gave it a grading scale, like a A through F. So
they gave this
like pretend Okami-Den's in middle school.
Okay, is there like pluses and minuses?
Correct.
Okay, they gave this a B minus.
Close. They give it a B plus.
Oh, I was gonna say
so
that
that's
first.
like an 80, 85, something like that.
Yeah, 85.
Right? Destructoid, out of 10.
Out of 10. Okay. They gave that. They're giving this a 9.
8 out of 10. Edge. These are all out of 10 currently. I'll let you know if that changes.
I'm gonna say 7.
8 out of 10. Eurogamer.
8.
8 out of 10. IGN.
8.
0.5 out of 10.
0.5 out of 10?
8.5 out of 10.
Oh, I was going to be like, holy crap, IGN hated it.
Game trailers. Out of 10.
8.5.
Out of 10, correct, yes. Game Zone, out of 10.
8?
7 out
Dang.
of 10. GameSpot, out of 10.
I'm sensing a pattern here. 7.5.
Correct, 7.5 out of 10. Game Pro, out of 5 stars.
4.
Correct. GameSpy, out of 5 stars.
3.5.
Nope, 4 stars.
Dang.
Games Radar Plus, out of 5 stars.
4.5.
3.5.
Damn.
Joystick, out of 5 stars.
5?
3.5.
Darn, wouldn't that be great? If it's just
Good one here too. Nintendo Life, out of 10 stars. Out of 10 stars.
Oh, 8.
9 out of 10 stars. RPG Gamer, out of 5.
4.
3.5. Famitsu, out of 40.
Famitsu?
Out of 40.
Woo! Famitsu. They gave this a solid like 36.
Oh, you were so close. You almost said it too.
35?
Oh, 34.
Oh!
34 out of 40.
Oh!
Seeing,
It just goes to show you, I know
were like-
Famitsu.
you were like 36. I was like, no, you're so close. Complaints. I'm seeing a lot of people said the game is too easy. That's what people said about the original Okami 2.
It's a handheld.
Yes. Well, yes. But people said that about the original Okami 2. They were like, it's too easy. And it's like, it's kind of the point in a lot of ways. Like, they're not trying to make Dark Souls, right? They're trying to make a game for children. I think, it's like rated teen or something like that, the original. So it's not trying to be insane.
I mean, also, if we're getting real here, it also is a Zelda clone.
Yeah.
We talked about this originally.
During E3 2010, it got a bunch of praise. People are like, hey, Okami's... I bet, like, imagine you work for... Was Studio Clover, became Platinum Games. You're, like, developing Bayonetta 1 or something like that, right? You're working on Bayonetta 1. They're like, we're releasing an Okami sequel. You're like, that pisses me off. I spent so much time working on Okami. Everybody hated it. Then Okami-Den comes out, and everybody's like, dude, Okami-Den is so good. And you're like, bro, where were you 6 years ago, man? I'm going crazy. I spent my life on Okami, and everybody hated it when it came out.
Oh, I couldn't imagine. That's
I bet it was so frustrating if you were like a developer who just watched your game bomb, and then everybody's like, oh, now it's a classic after your studio shut down.
That's like if we were like, we had to make money off this podcast right now, and then we don't, so we had to stop it. And then one of us goes off somewhere else with another person, like instant hit.
Start doing another podcast that just takes off. You'd be
It's the
so
exact
mad.
same
You'd be
thing.
so mad. But it's okay. You'd release Bayonetta 1, 2, and 3. And
That is
become
true.
separately universally loved in this world. So Yeah, that's reviews. This game sold 211,000 copies in its first 10 weeks of sale, which seems awesome, right? That's
Yeah,
so
it's a
many.
huge number.
After 42 weeks, they only sold about another 40,000 copies on top of that.
Ooh,
Um,
ow.
I mean, you say "ow," that could be really good for I don't know DS stats, right?
That is true. I'm
That could
looking
be
at it just
really
like
good.
regular.
That could be really good for the DS. Honestly, it could be really bad for the DS too. I mean, like if that's really bad for the DS, that explains why it's kind of expensive too, right? Like they probably did one or maybe two printings and were like, yeah, we're good. Let me get into some fun facts. I got some stuff here. They did make a collector's edition of Okami-Den. It has a soundtrack, a DVD, a storybook, and a plush Chibutarasu keychain, and Okami-Den headphones, which I think is funny. They were like, put the headphones in. We need you to listen to the good music that we made for the game. There were also North American pre-order bonuses that included a Okami-Den stylized screen cleaner and brush-shaped stylus.
Ooh, that's
I
cool.
bet that's really cool. And there was also a plush Chibutarasu keychain that you could get at the Capcom store. That was from the collector's editions, like the same one. So that's exciting. Okami-Den. There is I have in the credits. There's art at the end when you
That's
beat
super
it.
cool.
Like all the characters, they do like a big group photo, which is super fun. We can talk about development a little bit here. Kind of an important
It
image, I
was
think.
3 guys in a closet
No.
in 2 weeks.
No, for Okami 1, that maybe could have been the case. Not for the sequel after Okami's become a loved PS2 classic. Okami was considered a commercial failure on the PS2.
Yep.
We'll talk about that endlessly here. While it was believed to be the closure of Clover, the lead designer of Okami, a man by the name of Hideki Kamiya, he mentioned that one of the producers of Okami had an issue with Capcom management.
Light is shed.
Right, and so he's like, theoretically, in his words, right, Clover was not dissolved because Okami sucked. Clover was dissolved because Capcom and Clover could not see eye to eye. And Kamiya was like, I would love to make a Okami sequel. That would be cool. I don't have control over that, right? Like, I don't own the rights to Okami. Capcom does. What happens, happens. So in mid-2007, Keiji Inafune, some people might recognize that name, kind of a important guy. He been working on games since like forever. He had mentioned that a Wii port of Okami was something he thought about doing, but they didn't really have any plans, and also, it's easier to say I'm going to do a port than actually do a port, right? So, in spite of that, right, so there is a Wii port, right?
There is.
So one did eventually get made.
I think we talked about this on the original episode too. The Wii port, the cover art is stolen.
Yeah, they lost
from IGN.
They lost the original art. So yeah, if you look, it's on the logo, but you can see the IGN logo on the Okami logo. It's very funny. But there was another Capcom employee who said, like, if you want an Okami sequel, a lot more people are going to have to buy copies of Okami. And then, so that's in 2007, the Wii port came out. And then, 2009, they filed a trademark for Okami-Den.
Yeah.
So they put the Wii port out. April 2008, Okami comes out for the Wii. Probably sees decent success. I assume you would think Capcom is probably like, okay, we just released Okami again. People loved Okami. After a while, when it came out on the PS2, it's considered one of the PS2 classics. Maybe we should strike while the iron is hot. We're going to release Okami on the Wii. Maybe we should think about releasing Okami on the DS. Boom, they file for this trademark for Okami-Den. So, Okami-Den was directed by a gentleman by the name of Konomi Masahita, who oversaw the Wii port. So he kind of not a stranger to Okami.
I'll accept it. It passes.
He had also worked on Onimusha 2 and Ace Attorney Investigations, Miles Edgeworth, and there was a writer for Okami-Den who wrote the critically acclaimed Japanese Wii title 428 Shibuya Scramble. So, I mean, it's not like they had nobodies working on this. It feels like they kind of brought in the A-team to work on the new Okami game.
Yeah, no.
Hey, don't screw it up this time.
Make it good. Make it good.
one of the producers for the game. The quote here is, "The staff involved with this game has a real clear understanding of what was fun about the original Okami. They have a good understanding of what was important about the visual style and what aspects they need when making this new version so it will transfer well. The work Clover did was amazing. They were really talented people, and I think our staff now is motivated to make a game that lives up to the reputation of the previous Okami. Also, if you work for Clover, fuck you," is what he said. I hate
We
your
make
studio.
Okami now.
I hate your studio. I've got your dog hostage, and I will not let it go. He did not say that, but
He definitely thought it.
definitely thought it. Classic Capcom mentality. Yeah, that's pretty much the story about the development. It's people who had like overseen ports and worked on it, and that's why it's good.
That's why it translated probably so well.
This is people who moved Okami around were like, yeah, I know what makes Okami good. So yeah, that's the development of Okami.
Coming at you at the speed of a paintbrush is the Okami-Den Speed Corner.
Chibitarasu's Speed Corner.
You want to take a guess on how long this was to beat fastest time?
30 minutes.
Higher.
50 minutes. Hour and a half.
Here's the ballpark. I'm circling on the table.
Okay.
You're outside the recording area.
Oh, like 12 minutes?
You're going further away from the recording.
Oh, sorry. You made it as soon. All right, I understand. 2 hours?
You're getting closer.
4 hours?
You're
It's a fucking
knocking
DS
on the
game.
door.
It's a fucking DS game. 5 hours?
You're like coming down the stairs.
6 hours?
I
5.5 hours?
5 hours, 13 minutes.
What on earth takes
That's
so
the
long?
fastest time.
What on earth takes so long to play Okami-Den? It's
And
probably like cutscenes that you can't skip, would be my guess.
Yeah, and that was done on a 3DS.
That's,
'Cause they
not
break
like
it down.
100% run, right? That you're
That's
looking at like
new
fastest
game.
time.
New game, 80%.
New game, any percent, 5.5 hours. Are there other categories?
Yes, there's one other category. It's new game plus any percent.
Okay. Give 3 hours. 4 hours. 5 hours? 6 hours?
4 hours, 59 minutes.
So what, you shave 30 minutes off by
No,
playing
you
Disney
shave
Plus?
14 minutes.
What? Now I gotta do some research. What possibly takes so long to play this game?
And the last time any of this was speedrun was 6 years ago.
Yeah, probably because it takes 5.5 hours to do a run. Okami-Den. All right.
And I believe...
Also, it's only 2 people.
Yeah, it's 2 people. No one else has touched this thing. And the dude who holds both number 1 runs is also a
doing, like-
moderator. Just
Okay,
wild.
let me go look at the Okami speedrun. So Okami's under 2 hours.
Oh, are we looking at the same thing, man?
Yeah, Okami 2006, new game.
Oh,
80%.
yeah, there it is. Oh, that's for Switch. PC.
I mean, nobody's going to run the PS2 original because it's
Yeah.
just going to take too long to load.
New game plus an hour 9 for the original Okami. Think about it. This takes like at least 4 hours longer to beat.
Yeah, I don't know. That's super weird.
Oh, New Game Plus was done on PS3. How weird is that?
Yeah. I think I watched this guy speedrun when we did the Okami app. I remember because he has like a little VTuber avatar, and it's Amaterasu. Or it's not an avatar, maybe it's just a picture, but it is just Amaterasu. That's so bizarre. It's funny. Some of the games you think would be long are so short, though. Like, if I pull up the Mario Odyssey speedrun, it's like an hour.
If you want to get the top dog speedrun right now for original Okami, so the top dog is like all trophies, all brushes, like 100%ing the game. 7 hours, 34 minutes.
Yeah.
So you're more on track to get the top
if you're
dog.
If you're an Okami-Den speedrunner, just go play the original Okami. Like,
Oh my god, it's so ridiculous. My favorite thing was original Okami speedruns. My least favorite thing was Okami-Den speedruns.
it's funny. Okay. Now let's talk about our favorites. Now that we learned about the speedrun.
Now we've both blown our minds about these random speedruns. Look, my favorite thing is that it's cute, it's adorable, and I want a tiny little Amaterasu plushie so I can snuggle with it. Like I ain't afraid to admit that. You look at this tiny Chibi Tarasu, you're like, oh my god, I need that in my life. Especially like if you're like me and Josh and love Okami as much as we do, it's just like it's great. It's wholesome. It's wonderful. I love the idea that this is a game that Oh no,
Nothing.
oh, it doesn't bode well for
I
us.
typed in Amaterasu body pillow and I got
Oh
probably
no.
the most inappropriate thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Anyways, back to what I was saying. It's wholesome. This is a family game.
This one's fine because it's like a humanized version of Amaterasu at least. Oh, cheapers.
Why are you reading this for me?
I'll just send you the link.
Why? No, stop.
You just said you wanted to cuddle Amaterasu, man.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Stop and get some help.
You gotta see this, man. You at least I'm sending you the link.
Oh my
to
god.
respectfully look.
I respectfully fucking can't. I can't even. What is
I've sent you the link. Oh, you can perfect. It sends a little preview. You can pretty much see it from the preview.
It's from the you
From
get this on AliExpress.
It's AliExpress. Yep.
Why? And why is it only $23?
I think it's just the cover. I'm sure it's not the actual body pillow.
Oh God. Here I was talking about how wholesome game this all was.
Look, I don't know. You said you wanted to cuddle Amaterasu.
Just stop. Just stop.
I'm just trying to help.
Just stop.
I'm just trying to help.
You're not helping. You're making it worse. I retract all statements. I'm not part of this. My least favorite thing is finding out that this is something that's real.
Your least favorite thing is the link I just sent you.
Oh my God. My least favorite thing in the game is how closely to the original it is. Like, I love the idea that I can take Okami on the go. I hate the idea that I got a Okami sequel that was not an Okami sequel.
See, it'd be cool if they did an Okami sequel now, and they just made like an actual sequel.
Yeah, full-blown, like, PS5 release.
That'd be awesome. Sonic Frontiers looking Okami 3. My favorite thing is...
That link you sent me, apparently?
No, my favorite thing is that this is Okami. I'm dying.
Good! You deserve it a little bit. Like, don't die completely, but take a little bit.
My favorite thing is that this is just Okami on the DS. It's a concept, like, looking at Okami and saying, like, this would be fun on handheld is obviously an idea that holds up since it was released on Switch and ported to Switch, the original.
Okami-Den walks so Okami HD could run on Switch.
Pretty much feels like it. But it has that sense of wonder and exploration that made the original Okami so fresh and breathtaking. If you didn't have a PS2 but you had a DS, this is a chance to experience,
an amazing game.
Yeah, the wonderfulness of Okami. But in the same way, I wish there was more. And again, maybe there is. We just didn't see it. But out of what we saw, I wish it was more, like, different.
Its greatest feature is that it's just Okami. Its worst flaw is
that
Okami.
It's just Okami. Yep. The concept works great on DS, but you can't, it feels like a cop-out to be like, it's a new Okami game, and then you don't change anything and say it's the new Okami. It's like, well, did you change things? Like, well, there's like a different story. It's like, yeah, but it's still just Okami, right? It's like, yeah, pretty much. It's like, all right, well.
Did they Fortnite us before Fortnite was a thing? Here's a new skin. It's a different game.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching here, but I suspect that potentially the lack of Platinum Games, Clover Studios creativity is what leads this to be just good but never great.
Yeah.
Maybe if you had a lot of that creativity that seems to flow so freely at Platinum Games, Clover Studios, maybe we would have seen, maybe an Okami sequel from them would have been, holy crap, blow your mind.
I mean, let's put it this way. It came out, it was getting 7s and 8s across the board.
Yeah, people are like, it's good.
It's a well-liked game. Its value shows that still liked both on the original, the remakes, and this one.
It's not going to blow your mind, but it's good.
There's nothing wrong with being a Zelda clone. We talked about this the last one.
It's pretty much exactly what we said for Okami. Is there's nothing wrong with being a Zelda clone.
Yeah, it's great.
In fact, that's one of the game's strongest strengths. It's that it's a PS2 Zelda game. So, let's talk about why it deserves backlog status. Why don't you take us home on this one, Alex?
Let me tell you why. Okami's great. It's damn great. It's the great of the great. Son of Okami is also good. It's still very good.
You butchered the whole thing.
I don't care. I'm going to keep it.
Okami's great. Son of Okami is also good.
Son of Okami is also good. Like, ain't nothing wrong with it. You got Big Wolf and you're like, yes. And you got Little Wolf and you're like, yes.
Still yes, but
yes.
Not as emphatic as the first yes.
So, if you loved Okami, then you will love this version of Okami, where everything is just smaller and cuter. Honestly, for a DS game, it plays and controls great. It really almost controls like a PS2 game, in all honesty.
I can think of the one PS2 game it controls like.
it's wild.
It's called Okami.
It's a testament to the unending glory of the original Okami. That's really what it is, short, sweet, and simple.
Much like children, you have a child and you're like, this is the better version of me I'm sending out into the world. But in all essence, you're like, people are like, your son's cool, and you're like, thanks. You're welcome. That's my. I did that.
Me.
Okami-Den goes out in the world, and people are like, dude, Okami-Den's so good. And then you look at Okami, and Okami's like, thank you. Yeah, I did that. Okami-Den is good because I did it. So
people loved Okami. I really do feel like people still love Okami, and I feel like they could make a third one, but without like either Platinum Games or whatever remnants of Clover Studios is left.
That's Platinum Games. All the Clover Studio folks went to Platinum
Games. Oh, they all went there. So you need
not all of them, but like most of them.
You need Platinum Games to like come in on this with Capcom because they have the rights and everything to make it a worthy game to like make a third sequel.
I wouldn't want an Okami sequel unless we had verification that they were going to like try hard and put a ton of resources into it. If they're like, yeah, we're going to make another Okami game and whatever.
It's just another re-release.
we'll do an Okami sequel and we're gonna half-ass it. I don't want to see that. I think if they did another one, I mean, it's tough to live up. Obviously, as we're talking about here, it's tough to live up to the original Okami. But if they wanted to try, they'd have to try hard.
Yeah. It's hard to live up to a legacy. We'll put it like that.
Whether being your real-life parents or the game's parents. Yeah, like in this... Oh, it's all thematic. It all comes back. The game's about children and legacy, and the game itself, it's a meta commentary on the legacy of the original Kami. It's a whole thing. And much like Amaterasu is not there for Chibi Terasu, Clover Studios is not there for Okami-Den, and Capcom had to do it. But it gets more praise than it's like some people are gonna listen to this and be like, "Oh my god, it's all full circle. I just had an epiphany." Holy crap! What an insane, crazy, meta-contextual commentary on gaming society as a whole and the concept and development of Okami-Den.
And there's gonna be other people that go, "Oh my god, Josh has gone insane."
Mom, you got to come listen to this. This guy's going crazy on the podcast right now. Nothing he's saying makes any sense.
Anyways, we're gonna wrap up there. Okami-Den, we both loved it. Like,
it's good.
I would play through it. I would play through the original again.
I'd give it a 35 out of 40 if I was Famitsu.
I would give it a 36 out of 40. I'm going with my original thing.
All right.
Bro, Okami is S tier game. Easily.
Agreed.
But, subscribe, like, comment. Tell us how much, you love Okami.
Tell us if you like Okami or Okami HD or Okami Mini HD for the Nintendo DS, which is Okami.
Tell us about Okami. We just want to hear more. We love it.
If you know anything about Okami, please leave a comment. I want to hear about it.
You could regurgitate things we already said in this podcast and we're like, yeah, that's it.
Let's go.
Well, thank you once again for listening. I'm Alex.
I'm Josh.
Bye-bye. What's the outro?
I could have sworn we recorded this episode.
I swore we did too.
I'm insane. I feel like I'm insane that we. Goodbye.